Hi everyone. If you saw my update video a couple of videos ago about the experimental engine that I'm helping out with, said I've been asked to do some monitoring electronics, so pressures, temperatures, RPM, that sort of thing. So I've got a pilot bit over here, which I'm going to try and integrate into a system, and I'll just talk you through what I'm going to do. So the sensors that I've been given are 3 pressure sensors. Currently 1 temperature sensor, although there's 2 in the system. The other one's fitted internally, so I can't get to it very easily. I don't need it, it just helps to get everything working. There's going to be 6 glow plugs, 6 injectors. I don't have any of the injectors, but there's no point having those because they don't even fire until they've got 250 bar of pressure behind them. So we'll just have to hope that my drive circuit works for that. We've got the igniter, which I put out a post about the other day, and finally an RPM sensor. I just bought a cheapo RPM sensor off eBay for a £5. That one should do the job. I've knocked up a little circuit to read that, so hopefully we can mount that somewhere suitable. Now the igniter circuit, I was trying to find a pin out for the connector, and I didn't come up with any information, so I had to dig out the power in side of things just to see what was going on, and it was all full of polyurethane foam, squirty foam. So that was a bit of fun, a few hours of digging carefully so as not to damage anything. However, I did find that there's a couple of capacitors there. One of them, a lead, had actually just corroded off, and the other one, it's kind of hard to see unless you know what you're looking at, but basically that black bulge there shouldn't be bulging like that. It should be not bulging. So I think both of those capacitors have had it, so I'll be replacing those, but it has meant that I know from the markings on the capacitors, because there's a plus on these, just there, plus, that this is the positive and this is the negative. So the 3 pins are plus, minus, and there's actually just a chassis ground which just goes to the outside. So I think that's a sort of screening. It being an ignition module, it's going to be noisy as hell. So that's what these filters are for, keeping quiet. So I have quickly applied power, and it makes a squealing noise. So that, to me, says that it's doing something. It's not completely dead. Replacing those capacitors should make it a bit healthier. The next problem, though, is connecting the weirdo spark plug to the output of the igniter. Now, I've got this fancy HT lead, which is the correct one for the spark pluggy thing. So that goes on there, and it's quite hard to get it started because there's a very strong spring on it, but it does go on. So I've then got this end here. Got the spark plug screwed on. This end here then needs to mate with this end here somehow. So I'm going to have to make an adapter barrel and an insulator to keep this insulated from the metal. It doesn't fit down in this insulator, doesn't fit down inside that one, so I'm going to have to make us a stepped adapter and some sort of pin to mate with that central pin there, which should be interesting. These are UNEF as far as I can tell. We've got a 5/8 24 and a 3/4 20. I'm going to replace these capacitors, and that means I'll be ready to test it once I've built the adapter. The original caps were 86 microfarads each, so that only gives us about 160 microfarads, rated at 100 volt. That'll be for derating reasons, so when you've got aircraft stuff things are massively over-specced just so that they're extra reliable. I don't need it to be that reliable, so I'm just going to use a 35 volt regular electrolytic capacitor, 470 microfarads, so quite a bit more than we got there, so should work absolutely fine. Right, one capacitor replaced. Hopefully that's sufficient. We'll soon find out. So all of these sensors and so on are going to feed into a box running a Raspberry Pi. I've also got a Pi Pico in there, so the Raspberry Pi is going to run a program called Node-RED, which allows you to very easily put lots of gauges and controls up on a screen with fed by information fed from somewhere else, effectively. The somewhere else is going to be this Pi Pico, which is a microcontroller, and that's going to talk to the temperature modules, the RPM sensor. These are output modules for the glow plugs, injectors, and the igniter module. The pressure sensors will also interface to the Pico. The Pico will collect all that data together and just send a big lump of data to the Pi, and that will present the data over either wired or wireless Ethernet to a laptop some distance away, allowing us to monitor and control. So let's just take a quick look at the dashboard that I've drawn up. So this is a Node-RED web page, effectively. You can pull a load of gauges and controls onto the page and configure the range of everything, the units, titles, etc. So, you know, I've very quickly built this page. I say very quickly, it took me all evening, but and it'll present the data that you want. All the data that's on there at the moment is just dummy figures. I've got to write a bit of code to transfer the data from the Pico to the Pi. I've also got to do the Pico code, which will talk to all the various modules to get the temperature and so on. As you can see, there's temperatures, pressures, RPM, and there's some controls for the glow plug and the injector. It says PWM. That's basically the amount of power that's going to those modules. Because for the injectors, for instance, we'll want to vary the amount of fuel that's going in, and the glow plugs, I don't know quite how hot we want them to get, so it's going to be a bit of experimentation. Moving on now to the igniter cable adapter. This is a fairly simple part, which has got an internal thread for the module, which is the 5/8 24 UNEF, and an external thread which is for the cable, which is the 3/4 20 UNEF. It's going to be fairly plain inside. I'll make a PTFE insulator to go down the middle, and hopefully that'll work. Okay, so that's a quick overview of what's going to go into this monitoring, controlling system. I will definitely do a video of making the adapter for the igniter, and I'll probably do a brief video about putting this together and making it all work and stuff. So I hope you'll join me for those. Thanks for watching.